Alright, so what I think for that, it's like relatable because even in the prison, there's like different people. So like for the instance of Red, he's the person who can get you things, and in high school there are people like that. Or like Andy is like he's helping out the warden, who would be like the equivalent of the teacher in our point of view, and Andy would be like a student who's just like
A teacher's pet?
yeah, essentially yeah.
Yeah, and the kid that no one else can touch because they don't want to piss off the teacher.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is another or other theme of the story?
Well, one of the themes that we saw was the theme of power and how everyone is kind of out to get more power throughout the book, because I guess power represents like how easy their time in prison is going to be, because like Andy gains a lot of power through helping the warden, and Red gains a lot of power through getting people things and making himself indispensable and stuff.
Well, there's the example of the sisters. The power obviously to rape Andy, inmates.
I said that another theme was also trust, because Red needs to trust the people that he's getting things for, that that they'll use it for, I guess, good and not evil. But then also he trusted that Andy was innocent, even though a few other people believed that. And then the inmates also had to at least trust the guards, at least like a little bit. And when Andy came forward that he felt that he was innocent and that there was proof, he didn't trust the warden with that information and that the warden would do the right thing. And instead, it was a betrayal of trust that the warden just had the other guy just shipped off.
Yeah, I also think power and trust can kind of go hand in hand. So like people trust that Red's gonna get them all the things that they need, and so he gains power in that. And then all of the wardens and guards trust Andy to help them with their financials, and then he gains power over that. And then he trusts them to help him out against his sisters.
And I think trust is a good point too, considering the fact that like it leads right into the theme of hope, because the only reason that Andy was able to get out was because he had the trust from that relationship with Red, who did believe he was innocent and trusted him to give him a rock hammer, which I wouldn't trust anyone in prison with a rock hammer. And the fact that he was willing to do that led to giving Andy hope that he was going to get out.
Mm-hmm. And I certainly wouldn't trust someone in prison with a rock hammer if I didn't 100% know that they were innocent, which I'm not sure at that point in the story if Red knew that Andy was innocent or not.
Should we do the whole question?
Probably.
Yeah, so in what way could the reader argue that hope is a theme of the story?
Well, hope is a theme of the story because it's a story about Andy getting out of prison, but there's no way that he would have been able to like bide his time as long as he did if he didn't have hope, because like using a rock hammer to dig a hole out of the prison takes a long time, and then once he makes the hole, like he had to wait for the right time. Like he waited, I think it was like years or something before he actually escaped, and he couldn't have done that and had that patience without the hope that he did.
And he also had to hope that none of the guards or the warden would look into him too closely, and he also had to hope that he wouldn't be moved to a different prison or that he wouldn't get a roommate.
Yeah, there's also hope for Red too throughout the story, because Andy tells him that once he escapes, he's gonna that he like plans for Red to go with him.
And like top of that, or for like the Andy side of it, it's like not only does he have to have hope for like, the timing when he escapes, and on top of that, like his determination and hope throughout the process of escaping, but also like the hope just to like survive in prison alone, because for most people that would break them down.
And he had to hope that he'd be able to use his fake identity and get all the way to Mexico and not be caught before any of that as well. I mean, that's a lot of trust, a lot of hope.
And that's a good point too that Parker brought up with Red having hope because and hope that Red would get out because Andy left a note like in a wall that I don't know if they like talked about this wall, but that seemed kind of weird to me that he would just happen upon some wall that had a letter stuck in it.
Yeah.
And so that was clearly fed by a lot of hope that Andy had that Red would get out and find this note and find him with the money that he gave him.
And
But
nobody
also-
else would find it.
Yeah,
And
and
turn
he
it in.
also had a lot of hope that Red himself had a lot of hope that he would get out and be able to find Andy because he did leave right where Andy did, went across the same way. And so they both had a lot of hope that they'd get out together.
Mhm.
What message is King sending about prison?
I'd say that King is saying that prisons are really just a bad way in general to rehabilitate people, but also that it separates you even more from society than you would have from even just being a criminal. The prison record, it makes a lot of people not necessarily unhireable, but certainly very undesirable.
I think prison also, like the message it's sending is that prison is so difficult to adjust to real life, like after like it actually changes these people, because like Brooks, when he got out of prison, he died because he couldn't adjust. And like in the real world, there are a lot of like criminals who will commit crimes to go back because they don't want to be in the real world anymore. And so I think it's sending the message of how prison kind of takes over your life with the schedule and getting used to like the politics of the games and getting stuff for things and all of that. You get caught up in it and forget what it was to live.
Well, and like really, I wouldn't say test someone's character, but more like their resolve. Because obviously, if you don't have any resolve, you're not going to be able to survive in that environment. And there are obviously cases where people kill themselves in prison because they can't handle it, or they get killed because they do things that put them in like a very bad position.
Yeah.
And the worse of a crime you commit, the longer you are in prison, which creates a larger void between you and the rest of society, especially with technology, which causes you to commit worse crimes, which just starts the cycle over.
Yeah, I think it's also, it's showing that the strongest people in prison are the ones with, sort of like Dennis saying, like with the strongest resolve and the strongest hope. And the only people who are going to make it out are the people who don't lose themselves. And I think it's also showing that, like the people who accept why they're there do better. Because like Red, he wasn't pretending he was innocent. Like he knew he was guilty, and he admitted it, and he accepted that, and that helped him accept being in prison more. Whereas like if there are people who are guilty but still trying to pretend they're innocent, their resolve is going to be a lot worse because they haven't accepted the fact that they're in prison. So they're going to struggle a lot more. So I think it's also about, like who has the most resolve and hope and trust in themselves.
Yeah, I think it can also go with power to, like you said earlier, like the people that get out and then they just die, like because so many people have so much more power over your own life in prison, whereas like you had your own power in your previous life. And I think that like Red and Andy have an easier time in prison and an easier time afterwards because they were able to assert power over other people.
And also to maintain that hope as well.
Aside from Andy and Red, which characters are the most significant?
I mean, I know Brooks plays like a relatively important role, and it goes to show you like how we were even talking to like about on past questions, how like it shows that if you aren't adaptive enough, you're obviously not going to survive in your next environment, especially when you go from somewhere where it's like prison, where you're given a specific schedule, 3 meals a day, you have time to work and stuff like that.
Your health is taken care of.
versus going out into the real world where you have to, earn money, upkeep for yourself, like get insurance and stuff like that, and just be able to like fend for yourself. Versus where in prison, fending for yourself is just not getting bullied around by other inmates or
And there's
gangs.
no gradual transition either. It's very, you go from one end of the spectrum to almost the complete
Yeah.
Yeah, they
opposite
just
end.
Being like cut off cold turkey, like. I think another, I guess, character or characters, I think the sisters are really significant because I feel like they even hardened Andy's resolve because
I would
after they, after they, am I supposed to keep talking?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. After they did, like what they did to Andy, I think that hardened his resolve and made him even more determined to not lose himself after going through like getting raped and that kind of traumatic experience. He was determined to keep himself and say, you know what, you're the criminals. You are guilty. You belong here. I don't. I'm gonna get out. And that kind of drove his hope, I think, was that experience.
I also thought that the warden that knew that Andy was innocent was also really important. I think this is because like there was like that one guy who knew somebody who had committed the crime that Andy was in for, and he moved everyone around so that Andy would stay in prison for the rest of his life. And then this had led kind of to the whole closure of the story where Andy felt that he needed to escape because he wouldn't ever be able to be put up for parole or anything without the warden's like blessing or whatever.
Such one person's name that like admitted to killing the guy.
I don't remember his
I don't
name.
know. I think he's important too because I think, like Morgan said, like the guy sent it away so that he could keep him in prison. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that guy would have had like the guy that admitted to committing that crime had a much higher chance of getting paroled because he didn't try and get on the warden's good side, which I think then is actually another statement that King has about prison life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the warden is really significant because it also just demonstrates how it's corrupt, but also, I mean, Andy wouldn't have gotten out and become, was it like Peter Stevens, if he didn't have the money that he got from the warden.
Yeah.
So I think the warden's impact is also like he became important to the warden, so none of the guards could attack him, and so and that kind of gave him a layer of protection. And I think that layer of protection actually helped a lot, so that was pretty significant too.
Right, but it also meant that he could never.
Well, he didn't want to get parole anyways because he was digging a hole in his wall, and so if he got parole, like I think it said the story, he would have been moved to a different room for 3 days. But then in those 3 days, they would have seen the hole in his wall, and they would have put him into solitary, and he would have had no chance to escape.
But he probably wouldn't have started digging that hole had the warden not had it up for him.
Well, I feel like he had the idea of digging the hole initially, which is why he asked for the rock hammer to begin with. Like, I think from the get-go, he knew what his plan was, because I think he was smart enough to have a plan. And I feel like by the time he was helping the warden, he had already started.
I disagree because I think that he had kind of come across the ability to dig the hole so easily just based on the circumstance.
I agree, but I think he figured it out before. Because like you said, I mean, Andy's a smart guy who knew he was innocent right away. I don't think he was gonna I don't think he's the kind of guy to lay low. Like it said, he was like a very overconfident kind of guy who was hard to deal with. Like the jury couldn't stand him because he was obnoxiously overconfident and egotistical.
Right.
So I think he's not the kind of guy who's just gonna lay down and accept that he's in prison, which is why I think when he got that rock hammer and the poster, he had that plan from the beginning, and the warden helped him But I think even if he didn't have the warden on the side, he would have dug the hole anyways. I think he was already going.
But he was so like overconfident and stuff, and he had the warden under his thumb. I think that he could have started it and been like, oh yeah, this chunk of concrete just kind of fell out of the wall. If he hadn't gotten very far yet.
Yeah.